Hello and welcome to Addicted to Lacrosse. This is season 4, episode number 12. Today is March 19th, 2017. My name is Graham Perro, and with me tonight is nobody. Melissa is in the Caribbean on a cruise, and Tyler had his wife was away on vacation. He has to go pick her up, and he had the kids to deal with today, so he was unavailable. So I'm flying solo today, so it'll probably be a fairly quick show. Since I saw two of the games this week, so I've got a few comments on those and a couple of other things to talk about. But since there's just me, we'll probably get through it fairly quickly. So let's get started. The first thing is some fairly big news this week. Last week, the NLL sort of hinted that a big broadcasting thing was coming up, and then they announced a partnership with a company I think is called Xumo, which is Xumo, which has something to do with smart TVs. It's an app that runs on various smart TVs, and so presumably if you have one of these smart TVs, you can run that app, and there'll be somewhere where you can select the National Lacrosse League and watch some games on there. So I have a Samsung TV, and apparently it's not compatible with Xumo, so I can't watch it. I don't know anything about Xumo, but I do remember thinking that's not exactly really big news, so I was kind of disappointed. But turns out that's not the big deal that they were talking about. The big deal they're talking about was the 2-year partnership that the NLL now has with Twitter. So starting this past weekend, there will be a game of the week, and this past week it was Colorado and Toronto, which will be broadcast live for free on Twitter. So that's pretty cool. Twitter is obviously a very big name in the world of the internet. So getting games on Twitter is pretty big. It'd be nice if it was all of them, but let's take a step at a time here. And I tweeted something about this being big news, and somebody said, "Well, it'd be better if they were on TV," which is absolutely true. But I imagine this deal is costing the league a heck of a lot less than trying to pay for getting the games on, actual TV. So I think this is a big deal. I didn't see the Twitter broadcast because I was at the game, so I'll check it out next week, depending on what the game is. But from everything I've heard on Twitter and on Facebook and on the IL Indoor message boards and such, it seems like everybody was happy with the quality, the stream quality, the video quality, audio, everything. So yeah, so hopefully that goes really well. We'll see how, I'll see anyway, how that goes next week. But from everything I've heard, it went really well this week. So we'll see how that goes going forward. 4 games to talk about this week. New England beat Rochester 12-11. I thought that was an overtime, but it actually wasn't. They ended it in regulation. Colorado over Toronto 14-11. Georgia swamped Calgary 17-8, and Buffalo beat Vancouver 15-11. They were all on Friday night, so us lacrosse fans had Saturday night free for the first time in a long time. Didn't know what to do. So let's get to what was awesome and what was not awesome this past weekend. First, let's go to the Colorado offense. I want to say Colorado in general was awesome this past weekend. They beat the Rock, particularly their offense. Callum Crawford in particular was amazing. But there was an awful lot of goals that Colorado scored this weekend that were just beautiful, just really nicely placed shots, or a really nice passing play, or one was sort of behind the back right in front of the net. Callum Crawford did, I believe twice he tried this, and once it worked, where he actually had his back to the net, jumped in the air and spun at the same time and fired it while it was in the air. And that his first goal was like that, and he scored it. I think he tried it again later and either missed the net or stopped it. But there were a lot of really nice goals, not just Crawford, but Keogh and Rouet and Wardle. And Eli McLaughlin had a really nice one as well. So Colorado offense in general was awesome. Another awesome play was Stephen Keogh, who was down in the Rock end, picked up a loose ball, was immediately jumped on basically by 3 Rock defenders. So he was by himself. It looked like he was trying to kill a penalty, and he wasn't. So I'm not sure exactly why he didn't pass it off to somebody else. He just never had a chance, but he was being triple teamed, and he kept the ball. And then a 4th Rock defender jumped in. So it was basically a 4-on-1, and Keogh kept the ball for probably close to 10 seconds, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're getting beat on by 4 people, that's a long time. And he didn't drop the ball. He actually managed to get a shot off, which was the most amazing thing. But after 10 to 15 seconds of being first triple teamed and then quadruple teamed, I'm not even sure quadruple teamed is a thing because you don't ever see it, but that was impressive. Just the amount of work he did to keep the ball and to even manage to get open enough to get a shot off was amazing. I almost wanted him to score that goal because he earned it. And saying that as a Rock fan, that's difficult, but that was an amazing play by Keogh. Next, we'll go to the Vancouver Buffalo game. And this one was a particular play by Keto Hill, which had nothing to do with the actual game play itself. I'll describe what happened. Chris O'Doherty was checked into the boards, and I don't know who did the checking or who fell on him or whatever, but O'Doherty got checked into the boards and then fell to the ground, and then a bandit sort of landed on top of him. Clean hit, accidental fall. There was nothing premeditated. There was nothing bad about this at all. It was just sort of an unfortunate situation where the bandit fell on top of O'Doherty, and he stayed down once play was stopped. He stayed down holding his knee. Keto Hill is standing right next to him. He's the one who signals the trainer. I think the ref kind of did at the same time, but Keto Hill sort of waved over to the trainer and said, "Get over here," the stealth trainer, that is. And the stealth trainer comes right out, checks out O'Doherty. He's down for at least a couple of minutes. While he's down there, Keto Hill is standing right next to him watching, just sort of making sure he's okay. Now, maybe Hill was the one who fell on top of him and he felt guilty, so he wanted to stay and make sure O'Doherty was okay. But either way, eventually O'Doherty got up, was taken to the bench, and as he's walking to the bench, Keto Hill gave him a couple of claps, as the crowd did as well. But just the fact that he signaled the trainer, he stayed around to see how O'Doherty was doing, and applauded when he left to go back to the bench. Solid class, nothing but class from Keto Hill there. I was impressed. So props to Keto Hill. My next awesome, the Georgia Swarm. Let me take a look here. I have the score sheet nearby. The fact that they beat the Roughnecks 17-8, and the fact that they have a lot of firepower, not really a surprise. Miles Thompson was away the previous week, and the offense didn't quite mesh as well as they usually do. But he returned this week. Randy Stotts also returned this week. So check out this lineup, though. Johnny Powless, Miles Thompson, Randy Stotts, Lyle Thompson, Kyle Matisse, Shane Jackson, and Jordan Hall. And that's just on the offense. When you got guys like McIntosh and Joel White, who also returned on your transition, there's just firepower all over the place. And this is with Jesse King still on the IR. And I'm pretty sure King's out for the season, so we won't see him back. But just the fact that they have this kind of firepower and a guy like Jesse King not even playing, unbelievable. But the fact that they scored 17 goals in this one game and had 2 hat tricks. So the goal scoring was just scattered all over the place. Powless had 3, Miles Thompson had 4, Randy Stotts had 2, Shane Jackson had 2, and then Lyle Thompson, Kyle Matisse, Jordan McIntosh, Chad Tutton, Mitch Belisle, and Ethan O'Connor had 1 each. So goal scoring all over the place. Like I said, firepower. That's just the best word that describes this team. Yeah, so props to the Swarm offense for spreading it around and kicking some roughneck butt. One other thing I wanted to mention about the Rock Mammoth game, which was kind of interesting. I'm not sure if it's an awesome or not awesome, but I guess depends on your point of view. But it didn't change the outcome of the game anyway. But Right at the end, the Rock were down by 2, and there was only a minute and a half left. So they pulled Nick Rose, got the extra defender out there, or extra attacker out there, managed to take a shot and didn't score. And Dylan Ward fired it up to somebody, and I can't remember who it was, who ran across, tried to take a shot on the empty net, and hit the post. So new life for the Rock. That would have done it. Pretty much ended the comeback attempt. But they hit the post, didn't score, went right back to a Rock defender, moved right back up for a fresh 30. Rock didn't score on that one either. Ward tosses it down to Joey Capito, who does the same thing and does the same thing. He fires at the empty net, hits the post. Again, we have new life for the Rock, except for the fact that Capito grabbed his own rebound and buried that one. So just the fact that they hit the post on consecutive empty net shots was kind of awesome for the Rock in that it didn't finish off the game as they sort of expected it to. Not awesome for the Mammoth, because you'd figure with an empty net you kind of should score. But in the end, it didn't matter. The Mammoth scored on the next one and prevented the Rock from scoring anyway. But I thought that was funny. Okay, just a couple of not awesome things, and I guess they're kind of the same, but for different teams. Calgary offense. Where did it go? So I didn't see this game, so maybe there were extenuating circumstances. But when your goalie Frank Chiliano has more points than Tyler Digby and Dane Doby combined, something's going wrong. Curtis Dixon, you can't really keep him to nothing. So he had 3 goals and a couple of assists. Westberg had 2 goals and 3 assists. But Jeff Shatler held to a single assist. Tyler Digby had nothing. Dane Doby had nothing. Riley Lowen had nothing. So, yeah, I don't know if I should say props to the Swarm defense or not awesome to the Calgary offense, but they just could not get it done. They had 4 goals in the first, and the rest was just scattered around. 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 in the fourth, but just couldn't get it going. Too busy watching their own goal light go on and off all the time. The other not awesome for me was the stealth offense. I missed most of the first half of this game, so I came in just before halftime. But in the second half, it was all Buffalo. Vancouver managed to tie it up about halfway through the second, and then took a lead briefly, and then 20 seconds later, Buffalo grabbed or tied it up again. And then just before the quarter ended, Reese Dutch scored to give Vancouver the lead going into halftime. Was pretty much it for the stealth. Came out in the third quarter. Buffalo tied it up 2 minutes later, took the lead a minute after that, and then scored the next 6 goals. So 8 goals in a row for the Bandits. Vancouver off the score sheet for 25 minutes, almost 26 minutes. And it just looked like Vancouver had just given up. Just, okay, well, this is done. They scored 8 in a row. We're now losing 14-7 instead of winning 7-6. So this is done. And they just looked like they had no life. And it was pretty sad until there's 4 minutes left in the game. Corey Small scores. Corey Small scores again like 30 seconds later. And suddenly the Stealth have a little bit of life, and they're like, maybe we can do this. They scored 2 more, so they scored 4 goals within 4 minutes, and actually 4 goals within 3 minutes. And the crowd actually started to get a little louder, like, hey, wait a minute, this isn't entirely over yet. We could score 4 in 3 minutes. We just need another 3 in 90 seconds. So not so much, but it was nice to see Vancouver hadn't entirely given up. But it was just too little too late. Like if they had started that run 5 minutes before and had 4 or 5 minutes to score the extra 3 goals, then they might have had a shot. But it's too little too late. But so that was a little disappointing from the Stealth, especially since they were leading at halftime and looked like they were ready to give their home fans another win, but it was not in the cards. So that was my not awesome for that game. And I guess that'll do it. I was hoping to have some notes from Tyler and or Melissa, but well, Melissa's been in the Caribbean for a week, so I'm sure she didn't see the games. I was hoping Tyler would be able to see one or two. I don't know if he did, but he didn't leave any notes, so I guess that'll do it for the game comments this week. Like I said, not much to say this week. So we'll get to our predictions. Melissa had a great week. She got them all right last week, 4-0, and she takes over the lead at 28-24 on the season. Tyler never got his picks to us because he was away last week, so we'll give him an 0 for 0 last week rather than 0 for 4. So he sticks at 27-20. And I went 2-2. I got the New England game right and the Georgia game right and missed the other two. So I'm at 22-30 and bringing up the rear. So for this week, again, I don't have predictions from Tyler or Melissa, so I'll just give you mine, and we'll try to maybe tweet out Tyler's and Melissa's when they make them, hopefully before game time on Friday. So we'll start with Toronto and Georgia. I like what I've seen from the Rock in recent, well, pretty much all season, really. But I like what I've seen from Georgia a little more. And with Randy Stott's return to the lineup, with Miles Thompson back, Joel White is back. They're firing on all cylinders, and I don't know how much home field advantage gives them with probably the smallest crowds in the league, but we'll give the benefit of the doubt there and say that the home field advantage will even give them more of an advantage. So I'm gonna go with Georgia on that one. Calgary and Saskatchewan. Calgary's not playing all that well over the past few games. Saskatchewan is. And Saskatchewan is still at the level, and they have been for a couple of years now, where you basically pick them more often than not. Almost every week, I think I've picked Saskatchewan. And every now and again, you're going to be wrong, but you're going to be right a lot more often. So I got to pick Saskatchewan there. Vancouver and Toronto. I liked what I saw from Vancouver for a while, and then I really didn't. Like I said, they were pretty good in the first half of what I saw of it. They were pretty good last week. This week, the second half, they just vanished entirely. Toronto's not going to be happy after losing to Georgia, I'm guessing, on Friday night, so I'm going to pick the Rock to beat the Stealth in Toronto, and I will be at that game, and I'm looking forward to that. Buffalo at Rochester. Rochester played pretty well against New England from the looks of things. I didn't see the game, but Buffalo played better, and I think Buffalo's on a bit of a roll. Rochester, like both teams, weren't playing all that well early in the season, but I think Buffalo has made a lot more progress even without Ryan Benesh. They're playing pretty well. So I'm going to go for Buffalo there. Saskatchewan at Colorado. This, I think, will be an even closer game than Saskatchewan and Calgary. But again, I have to go with the Rush. I think Colorado will put up a pretty good fight, and I'm looking forward to watching this game. But I'm going to pick Saskatchewan to win it. And finally, New England and Calgary. New England, Sean Evans is back. Without them, they didn't seem to have the offense sort of synchronized or something. He has been basically their quarterback for the last couple of years, so that's not surprising. But he is back, played really well last weekend. As long as Evan Kirk is on his game, which he has been more often recently, and not so much in the beginning of the year, Calgary may be at the point now where I can just pick against them every week and probably will be right more often than not. So I'm going to go with New England on that one. That will do it. And like I said, a pretty short show, but I wanted to make sure we got a show out there, even if it was just me rather than the three of us. It's always better when we have the three of us and get differing points of view and such. But is it better to just have me or to have nobody? Who knows? But I'll let you guys make that decision. You can help support the show. We don't need your money, but if you leave a good review on iTunes, that will rank us higher in searches and such. and higher in searches means more ears listening. So if you can do that for us, that would be very helpful. This has been another very short episode of Addicted to Lacrosse. For the absent Tyler and the absent Melissa, I'm Graham. Thanks for listening.